Now let's get into now let's get into our rights. Now we know who he is, right? So let's get into our rights. All right. Now we're not U.S. citizens; we're American citizens, Moorish Americans. All right. So the Constitution got us covered. As a Moorish American, the original American, it got you covered when you're dealing with any state citizen, state residents. And that's why you want to be a non-resident, non-citizen. All right. We're going to go right to the Supreme Law of the Land, which is Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution. Article 3 deals with the judicial branch. Judicial means the law enforcing branch. You got somebody make the law and you got somebody enforce the law. Your legislative, they make the law. And we're going to get in their ass too. And then you got the person who enforce the laws, and that's going to be your Supreme Court judges and your sheriffs. All right. So the judicial branch. Section 1 says the judicial power, and that's the law enforcing power. So when it says, every time you say see it says judicial power, that's also meaning the law enforcing power. So the law enforcing power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court, one, and in such inferior courts as Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. That's district court. And we're going to get into that. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, 10 miles square. They set up the district, and district courts is what they set up in pursuance to the Supreme Court. So you can have one, there's only one Supreme Court. They have district courts in your area, okay? It says the judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. All right, so that say the judges, both the Supreme Court and inferior court, shall hold their offices in good faith. All right, doing good behavior, basically saying in good faith. Now, Section 2 is what it deals with your ass. Because, see, the whole Constitution does not apply to us. This is for the U.S. corporation, what they cannot do to us and what they can do to their citizens. And this is why you're not intended to be a U.S. citizen. And that's why the Constitution don't apply to you if you're black. It doesn't protect black people. You're not going to see the word black in here. But you will see 3/5 of a human being. All right. Now, Section 2 is what deals with you. All right. It says the law enforcing power, the judicial power, should extend to all cases. It ain't say just to some cases. It ain't say just to cases except traffic ticket, except traffic court. It didn't say just or weed cases or child support. It said all cases. Comma. That means pause. That means take a pause or breathe on that motherfucker. It said the law enforcing power, the judicial power, shall extend. So that means if it don't cover one case, it's going to extend to all the cases. It says in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority. Now that one sentence, what that sound like what we just read? Article 6, which told you what the Supreme Law of the Land was, right? So they reiterating that for you. Anything affecting the Supreme Law of the Land, the Supreme Court, the law enforcing power, has jurisdiction over that. All right? It says to all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls. All right? You got to know who a public minister and a public consul is, and a public ambassador. All right? Those are terms that you're dealing with nations. And those are people who, in a public capacity, are hired to protect your nation. Man, they take compensation, and they jurists, they legally competent to protect the members of the nation. Ministers, consuls, ambassadors. All right? To all cases of admiralty in maritime jurisdiction. All right, that's the law of the sea. Admiralty deals with admiral, or what you talk about, the law of the air. And then you talk about maritime, that's the law of the sea. Like you got marines, maritime. Moorings comes from the word moor. Just want to go on. Moorings started from the Moorish Navy, okay? Moorings. All right, so maritime jurisdiction. To controversies to which the United States shall be a party. To controversies between two or more states. So it's letting you know right now, it's going to break down diversity of citizenship right here. This is talking about diversity of citizenship. So it's telling you right now, any type of diverse situation, whereas you a U.S. citizen and you a Moorish American, this supposed to be in federal court. All right? To controversy between two or more states, between the state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, between the state and citizens thereof, and foreign states, citizens and subjects. All right, I'm going to read this last clause right here. It says, in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. It doesn't say secondary jurisdiction. It says original. What original mean? First jurisdiction. That means they got their first in line to, that's where it's supposed to be at. They the first in line, that's the first court it's supposed to be in, original court. So anything brought against you in the Moorish American is supposed to be brought in the district court. Why the fuck they bring you in state court? All right? They violating your rights. As soon as you go in state court, you've been violated. In all the other cases before mentioned, it's saying all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact. All right? Now, what does that mean? So it's saying, it's telling you that in any other case, when you take this shit into the district court, which is an inferior court to the Supreme Court, and you lose in district court, you can take it to the Supreme Court for appellate jurisdiction. They got appellate jurisdiction, meaning that's not the last resource. And Supreme Court not the last resource neither. You can take it to the international court. All right? So you got to know this hierarchy shit. It means a lot. All right, now you see in Article 3. Now I'm gonna show you with diversity in the U.S. Code right here, U.S. Code 1332, diversity of citizenship. All right, now you gotta understand, codes are not laws unless they in line with the Constitution. Everything has to be pursuant to the Constitution. All right, now U.S. Code subsection 1332, and this is Title 28. So it's Title 28, 1332. All right. Islam, y'all here with me?
Islam.
Islam. All right. 28 U.S. Code 1332 talks about diversity of citizenship in plain fucking English. All right. It says the district court shall have original jurisdiction of all civil actions where the matter in controversy exceeds the sum or value of $75,000, exclusive of interest and costs in this between citizens of different states. Number 2, citizens of a state and citizens and subjects of a foreign state, except that the district courts shall not have jurisdiction under this subsection of an action between citizens of a state and citizens or subjects of a foreign state who are lawfully admitted for permanent residence in the United States and are domiciled in the same state. All right? Now that's heavy. I'm going to break that down for you. Now it's talking about diversity. So we're talking about you being non-resident or you being non-citizen, right? You have to be non-resident to be diverse. It's telling you that even if you are more and you claim a residence in the United States, which is a foreign corporation under 3000 USC 3002, that's a foreign corporation. If you are a resident, you claim residence, because first of all, you got to know what these words mean. So you looking at this shit like this don't mean. Every word is something powerful. Residence in itself is one of the most powerful words you're going to read. It's a compound word. You never knew res, R-E-S, is a word in itself. All right, this is why I have to give you the degree of etymology first, because etymology is what all law based on. So residence, res means property. It don't mean a human being. All right. So if you claiming a permanent residence, that means you claiming you a permanent property of the United States. It's just that simple. So if y'all ain't looked at my Facebook when I got pulled over, and he tried to ask me where my residence, where I live at, I told the police I live in my body. I live in my body. Okay? You can't permanently live in no corporation. You can only live in your body as the spirit, clothed with the soul. You can't live outside your body. If you don't know that science, they got you. If you think you live on such and such street, they got you. And we're gonna get into that next week when we're gonna deal with the corporate. We're gonna go into the real estate laws, okay? And they're gonna tell you about what they call meets and bounds, which you call coordinates. 90 degrees west, 80 degrees east, shit like that. All right, that's how you make a land description in real estate. So that's what they apply to you when they ask you that question. They apply land description laws to you. Where do you live, young man? You saying a corporate address. So you a corporation. Thank you. We got jurisdiction over you. Put your hands behind your back. It's just that fucking simple. They tricking you. All right? So now you're seeing diversity situations has to be in federal court. They saying it has to be 75,000 or more, but your Constitution overrides that part. So don't worry about that 75,000. But when you take it to the federal court, you're gonna sue for 75,000 or better. All right. Now we're gonna go to U.S. Code 1446, Title 28 again. Now that's dealing with procedure for removal of civil actions. All right. And civil means corporate. Because all you dealing with corporations. So when you going to do these charges, you looking at it like you battling with the government, but really you battling with a corporation over corporate rights and shit like that. All right. So the civil. That's what they mean by civilization. We'll break that down next week. Civilization. We'll break that down. You get right into what a civilization really is about. This is Barbary. We what they call the barbarians. That's just one for you to grow on. We the barbarians. It's the Barbary states. All right. Now, okay, it says procedure for removal of civil actions. What is a removal? A removal is when your ass got arrested. They got you going back and forth to fucking state court, and you can't get no justice. You talking about I'm a Moorish American or whatever. They ain't trying to hear that shit. So they gave you a remedy in the U.S. codes that's aligned with the Constitution that gives you a way to be in an Article 3 court. When we talk about Article 3 courts, we talking about Article 3 of the Constitution. And for reference, ain't no Article 3 courts. Just be real. The district court is not really an Article 3 court, but it still gives you a remedy. Because for be an Article 3 court, they have to have a real nation. They have to be appointed from Congress. And none of these judges are appointed from Congress. They're all appointed from the president under martial law. All right, and that's a whole other story. We'll get into that later. But this is your remedy. I don't care if you got a goddamn child support, you got a traffic speeding ticket, you got whatever. You don't even have to show up to that court. You can just remove this motherfucking federal court. All right? This is how you protect, and then you go in there and you talk about the treaty and you talk about the Constitution that align with the treaty. You put yourself in the law of nations. You don't get to talk about Code 38.5556 that you violated. That shit ain't no goddamn law. Anything not that's contrary to the Constitution is notwithstanding. That's Article 6 of the Constitution. All right? That's supreme law of the land. All the other shit they talk about is not supreme. All right? We supreme over here. We not inferior. We not minority. We not minors. All right? We taking over our states. And this was Trump and all the republics is trying to help us do right now. But it's on each and everybody in this damn call to start enforcing this shit. You got to start knowing this shit. You got to start really digging in this shit and enforcing this for you and your family. That's the only way we're going to change this shit. We got to show the world that we are capable to be our own government. Just that simple. Now let's talk about this removal. All right. Now, this is a procedure for the removal. Now, 1446, if you want to remove any case, you go to U.S. Code 28 U.S.C. 1446 to give you procedure on how to remove any fucking case out of state court and take it to federal court and rule against the Constitution. And you tell them, goddamn, I got a Bill of Rights, and you going to the Bill of Rights and your treaty on their ass. And watch how they dismiss this shit. All right, so we're going to go into A, generally, a defendant or defendants desiring to move any civil action from a state court shall file in the district court of the United States for the district and division within which such action is pending a notice of removal signed pursuant to Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure and containing a short and plain statement of the grounds for removal, together with a copy of all processes, pleadings, and orders served upon such defendant or defendants in such action. All right, so it's just that simple. If you desiring to remove a case that's pending in the state court, you just got to take your ass down to the federal court and file the removal. Okay? Now, requirements, generally. Okay? The notice of removal of civil action of all proceedings shall be filed within 30 days after receipt by the defendant through service, otherwise a copy of the initial pleading setting forth the claim for relief upon which such action or proceeding is based, or within 30 days after the service of summons upon the defendant, such initial pleading has been filed in court and is not required to be served on the defendant, whichever period is shorter. All right, so that's telling you 30 days within your case, you supposed to be removing that shit. All right, now I'm going to show you where that don't apply to diversity, okay? Because diversity, see, this something, when you're dealing with diversity, your national rights, see, ain't no time limit to shit like that. They try to say there's a time limit, but the Constitution don't give no time limit. Remember, Article 3 supersedes this, but they still got to be in somewhat pursuant of it. Because remember, all codes was made to violate your rights in some type of way. Even if it was a small right, it's made to violate it. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever think this shit is honorable. And these courts or these police, and they follow honorable ass. They, even if they don't know it themselves, they not following an honorable code. All this shit is meant to violate you. All right, pursuant to George Washington 11th Amendment. And I can show you how they set up all this shit to violate you. All right. Now it says requirements. Now C, remove based on diversity of citizenship. So that's a different requirements when you're talking about diversity of citizenship. So the first requirement dealing with not a diverse situation. It's just dealing with a constitutional question, what they call a federal question. So that means if you call a charge, even if you saying I'm a U.S. citizen, right? You take it to federal court, you can still remove the case in 30 days as a U.S. citizen. Now, if you in that black, what's going to happen to you? You remove the case, but what's going to happen? Just like Dred Scott removed his case to the feds, what they do? Shoot his ass back down. All right? You got to come on in diversity. All right? And it's going to tell you right here what diversity dealing with. All right? Based on diversity of citizenship. Number one, a case may not be removed under subsection B3 on the basis of jurisdiction conferred by section 1332 more than 1 year after commencement of the action, unless the district court finds that the plaintiff has acted in bad faith in order to prevent a defendant from removing the action. All right, so that just changed it from 30 days to a whole 1 year, 360 degrees, full circle. So if you call the case 4 months, you've been that motherfucker fighting it, sweating and shit, guess what you can still do? Because you're a diverse citizen. You can remove it. You can remove the action. All right? Now we're going to go right, which remove it based on. You're going to base it on 42 U.S.C. 1983. Civil action for deprivation of rights under the color of law. All right? Because remember, the word color means fake. Color does not mean complexion and hue. Now, in law, they recognize that. Now, if you recognize that or not, that's to your loss. Okay? Because the only thing that matters is the law. What we run around here believing and thinking don't really mean shit to the real world. You got to get in line with law of nature, with what the law is. You think you can fucking fly, that don't mean shit. You jump off that motherfucking bridge, your ass gonna see the law of gravity gonna tell you you can't fucking fly. So you better be in line with the law. That's all I'm saying to you. And if you ain't in line, that's to your loss. All right? Every person. All right, now we know person means corporation, but they talking about every person. That means natural person and corporate person. Under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage. They said color of any statute. They ain't say color of any statute, because there's a difference between laws and statutes. When they come in you talking about statutes, that's a color of a statute. That's a color of a law. That's not the real law. That's a likeness of the law, but it ain't the law. It sounds like some law. They enforcing it like it's a law, but it ain't no motherfucking law. Because we read what the law was. It was only 2 sentences. It ain't say nothing about statute 38.0065, etc. All right. It says every person who under color of any statute, ordinance, regulation, custom, or usage, any of that shit, of any state, I don't give a fuck, Illinois, Michigan. I'm finna mute y'all. Somebody background loud. All right. Any state, I don't give a fuck if it's Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, New York, Virginia, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia. I don't give a fuck what state it is. Any state or territory. Because remember, we was just looking at between Missouri State and Missouri Territory. All right, public and private. Which one you in? You in a territory, you in a state. All right, you better know the fucking difference. You in a territory, just to give you the answer for you to grow on. You in a territory, or the District of Columbia. Subjects or causes to be subject, any citizen of the United States or other person, you the other person, all right, within the jurisdiction thereof, to the deprivation of any rights, privileges, or immunities, secured, it says secured, that means you got security, by the Constitution and laws. What's the end laws? Treaty, Supreme Court rulings. All right, that's the end of the laws. Shall be liable to the party injured in an action at law, a suit in equity, or other proper proceedings for redress, except that in any action brought against a judicial officer for an act or omission taken in such official's judicial capacity, injunctive relief shall not be granted unless a declaratory degree was violated or declaratory relief was unavailable. For the purposes of this section, an act of Congress applicable exclusively to the District of Columbia shall be considered to be a statute of the District of Columbia. So they're saying acts of Congress are also statutes of District of Columbia. And they telling you that they have judicial immunity. All right. If they doing things in they normal course of business. Now I'm going to show you where they don't have judicial immunity, according to the law, case law. All right. We're going to go into the remedy packet. This is what I've been working on for y'all. 125 case laws that trump everything you thought that you couldn't do and you thought that they could do. All right. This is what I've been working on. 125 case laws. All right. Now, right here is all the laws that says state is forbidden. All right. Number 18 says people are supreme, not the state. That's Warren versus the mayor of Savannah. That's in Georgia. All right. They won in Georgia. You're in Georgia. They already said the people supreme in Georgia. All right. Now that's federal law, so that applies to every state. All right. 19 said we have already held that subsection 1983 requires no exhaustion of state remedies. McNeese versus Board of Education. All right. So what we just looking at, 42 USC subsection 1983, deprivation of rights. That's 1983. So they said, and this case law says that you don't have to exhaust your state remedies to put a lawsuit against their ass for deprivation of rights. So that means you don't even have to go to the fucking court. That means when you get that charge and they violate your right, you should be on your way down to federal court. You should be on your motherfucking way down to federal court. All right? Number 20, it says governments are corporations. I don't know what y'all thought a government was, but it's a corporation, okay? Inasmuch as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, a creature of the mind only. A government can deal only with artificial persons. The imagery having no reality of substance cannot create or attain parity with the real. All right? So they can only get you as a corporation. Corporations only deal with corporations. They can't deal with you as a private person because you have rights that don't deal with the public, that supersede the public. All right, let's get into some more. Now we read what the Supreme Law of the Land, so I'm reading you laws. These are laws. You get pulled up, you quote this shit. You go to court, you can quote, you put this in your paperwork and beat a case off this shit. It's just that simple. All you need is one of these that apply to your shit. Just that simple. All right. Number 22 says a state cannot impose restrictions on the acceptance of a license that will deprive the licensee of his constitutional rights. Rukenbrod versus Mullins, 102 Utah 548, 133 case law. Okay? They can't put no restrictions on you and say this license it does this and that if it deprives you of any constitutional right. All right. Number 23 says no state shall convert a liberty into a privilege, license it, and attach a fee to it, like the right to travel. Okay. They can't make your right to travel into a privilege. Okay. Let's read, because I got them for days, man, and I'm gonna share this with y'all. You know, let's go to 28. You think you want to be a U.S. citizen? I'm gonna let you know why not. The U.S. citizens, and parentheses, citizens of the District of Columbia residing in one of the states of the Union are classified as property. Remember what I was telling you about res mean? Res, residence, means property, and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity. An individual means corporation. Entity means corporation. So what that's telling you, U.S. citizens are fucking franchises and corporations. They property. This case law, Will and Steel Corporation versus Fox. All right. Islam. Let's go to 29. The makers of our Constitution undertook to secure conditions favorable to the pursuit of happiness. They recognized the significance of man's spiritual nature, of his feelings, and of his intellect. They knew that only a part of the pain, pleas, and satisfactions of life are to be found in material things. They sought to protect Americans in their beliefs, their thoughts, their emotions, and their sensations. They confer as against the government the right to be let alone, the most comprehensive of rights, and the right most valued by civilized men. Olstad versus United States. The right to be left alone. That's the most comprehensive of rights and the most viable right. To leave your ass the fuck alone. Just that simple, man. That's case law. You got the right to be left the fuck alone. So that means they pulled you over. They ain't got according to the Amendment 4, they ain't got no search warrant, arrest warrant. Why they pulling you over? Oh, I'm sorry.
Or inter party.
Or inter party. Islam. Thank you for that, brother. Or inter party. Why they pulling you over? Ain't no crime being committed. They can't say, oh, we think you're crime committed. They have to be already committed. You leave me the fuck alone. I don't have to answer no questions. All right, 30. We did 29. 30 says the rights of the people are not derived from government agencies, municipal, state, or federal, or even from the Constitution. All right, that's a deep line right there. It says your rights do not derive from government agencies, municipal, state, or federal, or even the Constitution. That ain't where your rights come from. That just secure your rights, all right? The Constitution secure your rights, but they don't give you no rights, okay? That's going to tell you where they give you rights. They exist inherently in every man by endowment of the Creator, and are merely reaffirmed in the Constitution, okay? And restricted only to the extent that they have been voluntarily surrendered by the people to the agencies of government. So they come from your Creator, your mama and God. That's where your rights come from. That's where your rights come from. Your rights don't come from no motherfucker with no badge on. With no motherfucker with no goddamn, no black robe on. He just a man with a black robe like you would. He take that black robe off and beat the shit out of his ass. He don't care. He don't tell your rights. The Constitution don't tell you. That's a piece of paper. That shit your rights don't derive from that shit. Your rights are mentioned in that and was agreed upon. They take an oath to that. But they got to be in line with the creative rights. That's unalienable rights and alienable rights. You can't put no lien against your rights. You can't pledge your rights away unless you consent and give it to it. That's what it's telling. If you consent and give it up to them,
You waive it.
then you waive your rights. All right. The people rights are not derived from the government, but the government's authority comes from the people. The Constitution but states again these rights already existing. And when legislative encroachment by the nation, state, or municipality invade these original and permanent rights, it is the duty of the courts to so declare and to afford the necessary relief. City of Dallas at L versus Mitchell. All right, that's right here in Texas. All right, you know I'm using that. That whole paragraph I just read to you was a fucking case law what the judge said, and that's a law. All right. If you think if a motherfucker trying to tell you any type of thing you got the right to do, and they think they can tell you what you can't do, this is telling you can do it. The people rights don't derive from no government agency or the Constitution. Yo shit, you got natural rights. That's what we talking about, the law of nature. The Constitution just put it on paper for you so you can have something to refer to. Cause see, common law ain't written law. Man law is written law. Common law, you ain't gotta, you already know the law. You ain't gotta write it down. You know, goddamn, the law of gravity. You jump off a goddamn building, you know what's gonna happen. You ain't gotta write that down. That's common sense. But see, some things not so common, like the right to bear arms, like the freedom of religion, like the right to a fair trial. Okay, so those things have to be reiterated. Now we got 1 minute going down, and I suggest everybody call back.